speaking of kids not being allowed to be kids, there is a council in Australia, in Brighton of all places, that is coming together to not allow kids to have a makeshift little ramp and BMX track.
Because somebody got hurt.
Someone did the ouchies.
Someone got an ouchie, and this is where lawyers really have ruined the world, because they've run around telling everybody to sue each other, and so now liability is an enormous problem.
That sort of like litigation was very American, and now it's made its way here.
And what it does is it really stops anyone like a council or anything from wanting to touch anything. Because if it's bushland and someone's walking through bushland and they hurt themselves, then that's on them. But if you made a walking path and they trip over a route that wasn't clear, well, now they can sue you because you said it was a walking path, but you hadn't made it safe for me to walk on. So that's on you now. This is
why, I mean, we say this nearly every podcast, but take the warning labels off things. Just
let nature sort it out.
Why are people so afraid of getting hurt? Well, it is in like an ouchie.
But people aren't necessarily afraid of getting hurt. The people who own whatever it is, they're afraid of getting sued. That's exactly what's happened. And honestly, we need some pretty sweeping legal reforms to just completely remove this subculture from the legal profession. Most of these lawsuits.
That's how they make their money.
Well, yeah, and most of these lawsuits simply should not be possible. They should get laughed at.
So when I was a kid, I'll play this article in a second. Like I said, around us, there was so many different housing estates being built, and we used to go play in the frames.
Yeah.
And, like climbing swing around, climb it.
Back before people were ripping off all the copper pipes and everything. Yeah.
We were climbing through building sites just when the wooden frames were up. And where we lived, there was a lot of hills, so we'd strap our rollerblades on and just hope to hell that you
down the hill. Yeah.
And look, I only broke an arm once.
It was skateboards for me, and I don't have any long-term scars from the skin that I lost on the asphalt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember getting a brilliant graze. Remember the old Bitchman grazes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I stacked it going down a really steep hill with rollerblades, and I took off all the skin from my hip to my knee.
You got to roll. You got to roll. Oh, no. It's sandpaper. The road is sandpaper.
The road is lava. I've broken both wrists like 2-3 times just from being like utterly fearless as a kid. Just didn't care. No. But I remember, we would create go-karts, and this is actually what created a bit of a go-kart resurgence in our little area. So we found this table in someone's shed. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a table that had wheels.
Yeah.
And so naturally, because we lived on a bit of a hill,
yeah,
we decided that table was a skateboard.
Yeah.
So we sat on the table and went down the hill once and went, that's really fun.
Yeah.
So now we're going to strap ourselves to the table and someone's going to push us.
Yeah.
No helmets, no nothing, just whoosh.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're in a cul-de-sac, so it's not like cars were coming up. So then we started to like strap things to skateboards. So we had the skateboard and we're like, well, what if we put a chair on the skateboard? And then, you can imagine how this happens.
So I live on a hill that is quite steep. And I really want to do like a billy cart race.
Yes.
I would like a community billy cart race. I want people, dads, to spend a year building a little billy cart with their kids.
Well, that's what ended up happening.
Bringing all the hay bales and all that stuff. As if the council's ever.
But this is what I think millennials are craving. I think, we've had a bit of a taste, like millennial women like myself, we were brought up somewhat feminist. I managed to evade most of it. But the nostalgia is making a comeback for a reason because people are desperately unhappy, and you see this in a lot of advertising at the moment. But, millennials will have those memories. When we were going down the hill with the table and stuff, our dad saw that, went, let's make them some billy carts.
Yeah.
And so then all the local dads, because remember we used to know our neighbours.
Yeah, we used to, yeah.
You go across the street and you go there for dinner or barbecue and your dads would be out having a beer and watering the garden while you're running around doing whatever.
Yeah.
So all the local dads came together and they built us all billy carts.
Yeah.
And we thought we were getting like cooler ones because obviously all of our dads were car dads. So I was like, I'm going to have the fastest one. Yeah. And they made them all the same. They just looked different because the dads are all like, let's not kill them. And we ended up having so much fun. It was a key summer memory, and I still have that.
Core memory.
Yeah, and I just wonder, okay, we'll go into this council thing. Kids have gone, because kids' imaginations are still there, but they haven't lost their imaginations.
Correct.
They've gone, so it's basically vacant land, or it's like a little park area.
Yeah.
And it's muddy, so they've turned it into a bit of a ramp.
Yeah, someone's pushed together a bit of a ramp, bit of a hill.
Yeah.
Yep.
And these kids are kids. They're just using their little BMXs to jump off and have a bit of fun.
Yep.
Now, I'll show you the video footage in a second. The ramp is like maybe 40 centimeters high.
Yeah.
It's not even big.
Yeah.
And it's just dirt. And apparently someone has hurt themselves. I'm like, well, if you're an idiot and you can't see where you're walking, that's on you, you know?
Yeah.
But the point I want to make here is like, the kids want to be outside.
Yeah.
They don't want to be on their iPads and screens. Like, but the problem is you're not allowing them to have fun anymore. Kids don't ride their bikes. They're not allowed to hang out with their friends. And then you wonder why youth crime's going through the roof.
Yeah, because they find that straitjacket intolerable.
Yeah.
And once they break out of it, well, then where do they stop?
Yeah.
Right. There isn't a healthy context in which to work out the testosterone and the risky behaviors and pushing your boundaries. There's no safe context for that.
And I would tie this into the YouTube ban as well, because so someone like G, right? Like he fell in love with cars when he was a kid, and his next door neighbor got him into it. And he was like, 12, 13 years old, and saved up his pocket money, bought his first, shitbox car, but learnt to do it up. And then now he's got a career in motorsport.
Yeah.
And kids now they don't necessarily have the relationship with the neighbor across the road, unfortunately, but they do have YouTube.
Yep.
And on YouTube, you can find a video on anything your heart desires.
Yep.
And so you might be able to learn. So like this young kid, a new version of G in 2025 could jump on YouTube and learn, oh, so that's how you do that. Oh, okay, I'm going to go do that. But we want to ban that now. We don't want our kids to have that.
Worse, kids in marginal situations, kids where they might be subject to abuse that other adults in their life haven't identified yet or don't feel safe taking their questions to their parents, etc. YouTube was a place where people could go to explore, where people could go. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and I had questions I didn't want to ask my mum and dad. I went down to the library and I skulked around looking through trying to find the right section with the books, right? Now, yeah, I get it. There's a lot of nasty stuff out there on the internet. Parental controls, I think, are really important if you've got kids in your household.
Can I just call you out on that? Yeah, there's some nasty stuff out there. I was a kid when the internet came out, and at 12, I was looking at rotten.com. Do you know what rotten.com is?
No.
Oh, come on.
No, pass me by.
You little Christian boy.
I know I don't
Guys, help me out in the comments. You know what rotten.com is. All right. It's on the Wayback Machine.
No, you're gonna if you pull it up, we're gonna get censored for sure by the sounds of it.
This is a right. What do you mean? This is a rite of passage. Oh my God. So rotten.com
I was too old and too cool.
Dude, my brother showed me this. And he also, so rotten.com, I'll bring up the Wikipedia. I won't bring up it's on the Wayback Machine. So it was basically, this is what it looked like, OG. And on there was just stuff it was a shock site. Stuff that you wouldn't normally get access to. So there was like Tupac's autopsy photos were on there.
All right.
And murder crime scene photos and like all sorts of stuff. But also what was on there was the terrorist's handbook.
Oh, yes.
The
terrorist cookbook. The anarchist cookbook.
The anarchist cookbook.
Yes,
yeah, that's the one. And yes, we did make pipe bombs. I mean, no, I didn't. I never did that. I don't even know what a pipe bomb is.
And foam, never heard of her.
No.
Yeah.
I'm confessing all my sins. But yeah, so like, rotten.com was there in 1996.
Yeah, right.
Whilst I was looking at David Bowie singing Changes on Microsoft Encarta.
So you were 10.
I was also looking at rotten.com.
I was already 14. I wasn't that interested in that stuff. I was way past all the terrorist handbook making bombs. Nah, man, that's child's play.
It was, okay, I need to tell this story because it's funny. So we decided to learn a thing that required steel pipe and sparklers.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And we did the thing from the book.
And did it work as advertised?
Very loudly.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Turns out putting that in a house where the frame is up is not necessarily a good thing to do.
Right.
I didn't do it.
Okay. Yeah, no. But you've heard.
This is anecdotal.
Yeah, you've heard.
I know nothing about it.
So I had a friend across the street who used to be able to get wooden boxes, basically cigar boxes, but they were full of little penny bangers and little, red coloured paper wrapped little bombs, I guess, with little fuses on them, and I would bury them in the backyard, and I'd have to try and make sure the dirt wouldn't make the fuse go out, and I'd put little army men around them and blow up the army men and just like do army scenes in this little patch of dirt that we had in the backyard. And then I started putting them into things to see what would happen. So I had a couple of old model aeroplanes that I really had no love for. I'd built them years earlier. They were really badly put together. And so I sort of opened them up and shoved these little things inside and blew them up. And, it was never the Hollywood Fireball. I was looking for something more spectacular. So I had the idea of putting one into, quite a large one, into a Barocca tube. And it was almost the diameter of the Barocca tablets, to give you some idea. Like this was the biggest one I had.
Yeah.
And I dropped it into the tube, and I had to put the lid on and decide how tightly I was going to put it on, because I was afraid if I put it all the way on, it's going to stop the fuse from burning. So I just sort of tapped it on lightly in the theory that it would burn through.
Yeah.
I lit it inside the garage, and I just ducked around the garage wall, the end of the wall with the garage door open. And so I lit the fuse, ducked around out of the way, me and a couple of friends, and nothing happened. And by then we'd blown up a lot, so we knew how long it should take. And this was way too long. And then I said, I'm going to go and get it. And my mate said, no, it's too soon. I'm like, no, it has to have gone out. Like it would have blown up or it's gone out, one or the other. Well, what I think must have been happening was that the heat, it was slowly still burning its way past that little pressure point where the heat was bleeding through, and it was just keeping it going, but it was obviously much slower than what it would naturally have been. And thankfully, as I get around the corner, I heard the start again. And I had just enough time to like stop in my tracks, turn around, get my head down and my hands over my ears. And I'm not sure if I was back behind the wall or not when it went bang. I'm not quite sure. But it went bang. My back was turned, so I didn't see it go bang. We never found the lid. And the tube had been essentially unrolled, because it's like a diagonal ribbon of aluminium going upwards up the can. It had basically just been, it was a ribbon of aluminium can that thankfully didn't hit me either. And at that point I went, maybe this stuff I'm playing with is a little more dangerous than I thought, you know? Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this clip from The Oddcast. You can find our full episodes over on YouTube at The Oddcast HQ. We'll see you over there. Make sure you like, subscribe, and get in the comments.